Welcome back, everyone. We're about to look into something that I haven't covered in a long time, and it is those lunar waves and how I believe they relate to the phenomenon that is mentioned in Enoch, where the sun and moon have their obvious paths within the firmament, but they have what's known as gates. And this is something I was studying out with Creation Standard as we were looking into the path of the sun and those gates mentioned and breaking down the math and trying to figure out how it is we get our seasons when the sun moves south and when the sun moves north, how everything works, because it is extremely complex and mysterious, and it has everything to do with our Father spending an entire day of creation making the structure up above us. It's not some simple dome shape and that's it. This thing is complex, and it's the most accurate masterful timepiece of all time. Hands down, nothing's even close to it. And this thing is always surprising me with just how advanced it is. And so, as we are looking into descriptions of the heavens, we see some that say the heavens have 7 layers. And that 7 layer aspect is why I had assumed that there were 6 gates, because you would have a layer change because you would have a gate in between each layer, giving you 6 gates. And the way it sounds is that the path is actually tilted. And so I don't have it drawn to scale in any of my animations. I'm not someone who is good at making 3D models and everything like that, but you would have a tilted path of the sun within the firmament instead of a tilted earth in space, if that makes sense. And so, again, this is not to scale, it's just for visual purposes. The map could be completely wrong. I am not a cartographer. I know that all world maps are wrong for a reason, and it's not because we live on a tilted pair. But the path of the sun and its changes and how it relates to those gates is a clue as to when we see lunar waves. And I didn't find clues to this until I was looking into old footage and compilations of these waves where you see them passing in front of lights in the sky known as Jupiter by modern astronomers. And the lunar waves were compiled by someone known as Crow 777, who was a man who had captured one well before the biblical Earth cosmology movement took off. This guy was confused by what he saw because no one was talking about the firmament back then. He filmed these waves, and people were losing their minds, and it was going viral. They were thinking, what is this? Are we in some sort of simulation? What's going on here? Are we on the Truman Show? Somebody help us out. Well, he said in one of the compilation videos he put together of these things taken worldwide by multiple witnesses that they happened most often on equinoxes. And I thought, so they're not just happening at random. It's not some atmospheric phenomenon because a plane passed by. And I knew it wasn't that because I had seen another astronomer film this, and she's narrating her video. She's talking as she films it, and she says, "That's strange. There's no planes in the sky. What was that wave?" And so she's looking at it and saying that. And the thought occurred to me as I'm hearing that these happen during equinoxes is that the gates, according to Enoch, if you know what an equinox is, will make this all make perfect sense. Because those gate changes in Enoch bring about the equinoxes, where you have even day and night time. And so I wanted to summarize what an equinox is. It's, according to Google, an astronomical event occurring twice yearly around March 20th to 21st and September 22nd to 23rd, when the Earth's axis is tilted neither toward nor away from the sun. This results in nearly equal amounts of daylight and darkness. They always say nearly equal, it's not equal. Approximately 12 hours each. Well, let's go back to what Enoch says. He breaks it down based on a 364-day calendar with 182 days, with the sun being in the fourth gate starting the new year around April on the Gregorian calendar for 30 days, and then going to the fifth gate and to the sixth gate. And you'll notice it stays in the sixth gate twice. There's a reason for that. I'm going to show you that with a visual here in just a second, but keep that in mind. And then it goes to the fifth gate again and to the fourth gate again, and that's when the sun goes from the north to the south. Again, I'm going to show you visuals so this will all make more sense. But the equinoxes would be highlighted right here. You have September, where you have even 720 minutes of sunlight and 720 minutes of night time. And this is the math that shows us, again, when the equinoxes would occur, and it would be at a gate change. And so when the sun and moon are changing gates, that's the time of year when people are filming these waves move across the moon. That is significant. And when we look at the daylight and the dark in the north and in the south, we see differences that reveal more proof that the biblical earth model is more accurate than the globe, because the globe necessitates an even 50-50 with daylight and darkness experienced in the north and in the south. But last year, of course, during creation standard, when putting our Father's words to the test, what do we find? More proof that his words are true. And we see that the South Pole experiences about 182 and a half days of darkness per year. How much does the North experience? Let's see. Is it 182 and a half? No. 179 days the Arctic experiences darkness. And so you do have a difference, and those numbers don't add up to 365 days. And so there's days where they would both experience some light, but it doesn't make 100% sense to me, given that there's more days of darkness than there should be in the South, unless you understand that the sunlight would have to travel further in the South to reach those outer edges than it does in the north or the center of most maps. And I don't even know if, our maps are lined up properly. I'm not a cartographer. I know there's some errors and issues with the maps, but there's issues with every single world map that you look at. We didn't grow up looking at accurate maps, and Google says that all maps are wrong. Literally every single one of them. And so people asking us to come up with a map that's perfectly to scale and works and everything like that. All we know is there's no curvature, it's not moving, and we are working on it. And so we will find more answers as we continue to look. And if we had, NASA's money, we could definitely do a lot better. And if we could keep people from being so divided, we could do a lot better. But everyone, the enemy is working to divide. And so, getting back to the gates of the sun, I just want to show you a quick visual that we look at in our firmamental class. We have the new year starting in the spring, not in the middle of winter, according to Enoch, when the sun is in that fourth gate and it's going into the north. It's going to be in the northern region of the world. Again, this is not to scale. I'm just laying this out for visuals here, not even accounting for the tilted path of the sun here, the rising gates and the setting gates, which I would assume if it's a rising and a setting gate and there's a difference, one would be higher than the other. But you have the fifth gate where it's there for 30 days. Sixth gate, it's there for 31 days. But if you've ever done a relay where you run down and tag something and come back, that is why you have extra days in the sixth gate. So it's just went to the other side of that sixth or seventh layer here. It's going to come back, right? So when it comes back, that's your extra 30 days. And so it has to spend 2 months in the sixth gate. Then it goes to the fifth gate, back to the fourth gate. So the weather's getting very similar to what it was at the start of the new year in the fall here. Then it's going further south. You're moving into winter. It's in the third gate, the second gate, the first gate. And just like that sixth gate, it's going to have to come back and spend another month in that gate. This time it's 31 days. And there it goes again until you get back to the new year, where it's in that third gate, about to go into the fourth gate. And so going through all those gates gives us our year, and the math behind it is exact. And people who are interested in calendars, like my friend George Newber, has studied this stuff out using a sundial and learning how all this stuff works. Keeping track of where we actually are in time is a big deal because appointed times were important. We see that even in the New Testament, the ones who thought they had it right were actually keeping, it seems like, a different calendar than our Messiah. They were off by a couple to a few days at times. And I think that might be why when Mary and Joseph lost track of our Messiah for a few days and he said, don't you know I must be about my Father's business, that he was keeping it the right way. He would have been on the right calendar and they would have been a few days off. That's my theory. I could be wrong on that. His father might have had him there for another reason, but I just thought that was fascinating, especially when we look at what happens during Passover and all of that. But the gates of the sun happening with the equinoxes is a big deal. That's what I wanted to connect with this video, so that when you are trying to film it, you're not like me filming it in vain, thinking it's some random time type of event that can just happen at random. It's not random. These things are being filmed during gate changes, I believe. And so you can see those so-called portals of the heavens and the properties of the moon passing through there, that there would be this energy shift as it changes gates, and that could cause these ripples. Lots of reasons for that. With the complex structure above us, I just think that it is extremely fascinating that we are seeing these things now and hearing from eyewitnesses who filmed them that it is happening during equinoxes and also in the wintertime. One of the first astronomers that I had followed who filmed it, she said it was December 19th. And so it would have been one of those winter gates, when the sun is further away in the south. If it was December 19th, it would have been somewhere over here in that first gate doing its lap. So you have two opportunities with that first gate to capture it. And so that would probably be around December 19th when that happened there, when she filmed that. And so lots of really cool things come to the surface when you understand that we are under the firmament. The lights that our Father made on day 4 of creation were put inside a structure that He literally spent that entire second day of creation making. And so those lunar waves, not random, not just something that you can film on any night, I don't believe. I think this would be something that we could go back and look at and document because I'm sure more people have filmed this now. I was looking at this stuff back in 2017 and 2018, and of course, more people have filmed these now, and it'd be really cool if we could all work together and get along and make sure we know when these things are happening so we can document that it is for signs and appointed times and a perfect clock up above us, one that will work perfectly as is until we get the new heavens and the new earth. And of course, we know that if Revelation and the words of our Messiah are literal, some stars are going to be falling, things are going to be happening, powers of heaven definitely shaking up. And so I wanted to share this for research purposes so that you guys who are trying to film these things aren't like me just standing out there in the cold in vain. You will know to look to the math of the heavens given in Enoch to help guide you to finding these things, or just go out during the nights of the equinoxes and try to do it that way because the math can be overlaid and aligned properly because that sun is very regular. It's not like the moon. It has its path that it's had since creation, except for when it stopped for an entire day and then started back on track. And so that's it. That's all I wanted to share for now. Of course, there is a lot more to share really soon as we research these things out and go through putting our Father's words to the test yet again. And so you guys have been a major blessing as we do all this research, supporting us. Those of you who can, it's a great blessing. It is helping and going towards a really good cause. I believe one of the best causes in the world right now as our Father is waking up his inheritance, the ones that he holds dear, and preparing them for the deceptions to come. We see that they are going to finally, now that AI technology is where it is, pretend to go back to the moon again. This time it's going to really tug on the heartstrings of a lot of people, the older patriots and people who believed in it. I think they're really going to pull them together or perhaps have some sort of Challenger mission thing happen to where it seems more real and these astronauts are reading from the Bible again. There's no links that these people won't go to distract and deceive as they are trying to prepare for a battle that Revelation tells us the unclean spirits are a part of. They are gathering people, deceiving the kings of the earth. And so don't put your trust in man. I know politics is a big thing right now and a big divide. They've already divided America, north to south, and now they're doing left and right. They're doing everything they can in these last days to divide and conquer. And so we know who wins in the end, and we are going to be on that team, that winning team, and be humble enough. We got to humble ourselves to not be deceived by the deceptions to come. And so be ready and study this stuff out with us. Find out how it is we're supposed to live and more about the end time deceptions as we investigate this stuff. Learning about the firmament is a big key to the puzzle that many are missing, and it makes the rest of Scripture make sense. It makes Revelation make sense, and it reveals our Father's handiworks and allows us to trust and know that there is no alien threat, things like that. It's important that we have peace when we see these things and we know that we are wrestling against powers of darkness right now, not each other. Pray for those who are deceived. Pray for people like me. If I'm wrong, pray for me. I don't want to be wrong. I'm willing to change what I'm saying if I'm wrong. I just want the Holy Spirit and our Father's clarity, because He's not the author of confusion, to disperse any confusion that we have and help us that are truly seeking get united in His truth and in His Spirit and His ways in these last days. And so that's it for now. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, this can help somebody out and help us out as well, revealing more truth about our Father's handiwork. So thanks again. Stay humble, stay ready, and we'll see you next time.